Happy March 8th, everybody. This is the second part of the asteroid conversation. I think I let it go too long last time, and I probably just got cut off at the end, so I went back a little bit. And we are going down island instead of up island. I'm going down to the water being Montauk. I'm starting in Center Reach. I'm just now getting into Hamptons, where it used to bottleneck, but now the speed does drop to speed limit 35. So this is life at 35, heading out to Montauk, and we're not there yet. But here we go, and you can watch the beautiful chemtrails go by. As we see them start to break up, you can clearly see the twisting motion that a turbine that I used to fix in the military makes as air goes through it. So that was something I noticed that was pretty interesting. But here we go.
The tidal forces of the Earth actually can rearrange, cause landslides on these things as they fly by, and so there's a fair chance that this guy's going to feel some gravitational tugging and pulling. Probably not enough to actually pull it apart, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if you could imagine yourself riding along on the surfaces of this thing that you might well see some little asteroid quakes, if you will, and maybe some little minor landslides and things like that. With gravity this small and such a tiny object, you get one little landslide, it's not out of the question you might get some little bits of gravel and rubble sort of in temporary orbits around the thing.
Could it hit a satellite?
In terms of distance passing by, I think that's certainly a possibility. I have to tell you, I don't know exactly what the, sort of where it's passing in the latitude space out there in space past the Earth. So I don't know, the geosynchronous satellites that are at those sorts of distances are out there in pretty much an equatorial belt around the Earth. Not necessarily, some are at higher inclinations, but most of them are sort of around the equator. And if this thing is passing through that distance, but at a higher or lower latitude, then that risk drops down quite a bit. But it's certainly at that sort of close distance, there's always that possibility.
What does this tell you, Daniel, about just the possibility of an asteroid one day hitting the planet? Not a matter of if, but when. It could happen and come out just at any time, couldn't it?
That, in this size range, that's definitely true. By no means have we discovered even most of the objects in this size range that are passing through through nearest space. So this is one of these objects that there's about a 50-50 chance. And this one actually I think was discovered after its closest approach on February 16th. So if the odds, if it had made a much closer approach this time, and this illustrates this is one of these situations where we could have had a little, one of these sonic boom sort of impacts up in the upper atmosphere without us knowing about it beforehand.
Where will it go once it passes us by?
Right now that's kind of the uncertainty for next year. Is we don't know exactly. I mean, we know roughly enough to be able to project its path out, decades into the future, but not well enough to predict where it's going to end up those decades in the future.
Do they leave the solar system at all?
Some do, not because of terrestrial encounters like this. Our gravity isn't really powerful enough to tug them and throw them out of the solar system, but Jupiter's certainly is. Jupiter's gravity is, and many near-Earth asteroids suffer a fate that because many of these objects will pass deep enough into the asteroid belt during their orbits that they can be perturbed by Jupiter, and Jupiter's gravity can then change their orbits enough to either fling them into the sun. Many near-Earth asteroids die an ultimate death by actually doing a swan dive right into the sun, and that's caused ultimately by perturbations due to Jupiter.
Would you be more concerned about Apophis in 2036 than this one next year?
Well, certainly from a size perspective, this is a tiny object compared to Apophis. And actually, quite frankly, there's another extremely interesting object that's on our quote-unquote radar screens, if not literally. This is an object that was discovered last year called 2011 AG5. And that's worth the whole next half hour discussing if you want to do that.
Okay,
that's a fun one.
Let's do that. We'll talk about that. I want to ask you a couple scenarios about this 150-footer that's coming by in February, and we'll see what your thoughts are on that as well. Our special guest for the next 2 hours, planetary scientist Daniel Durda. We'll also talk with him about planets, new discoveries, already out there harboring life just like us. I'm George Norrie, back in a moment on Coast to Coast AM.
All right, so no need to worry. It's just an asteroid 150 feet long, coming within 17,000 miles of the planet, coming within our own protection field of satellites and debris that we have out there. It's got to cut through, it's got to cut back. It could hit some things. But, alright, I'm not going to continue to blabber, blah, blah, blah. But I am going to tell you, I love you kids every day. Just know it. And, you know, every day is a day we get to live. So live it. Because nobody gets out of here alive. You know, people say that. Alright, love you guys. Living every day. Oh, if you see me chewing a lot, I chew, because I got a blender, a Vitamix, and I started putting in spinach and carrots, and I got isogenic shake, and cinnamon, and my vitamins, and trail mix, and I put a whole bunch of stuff in there. And then I chew my whole way out to Montauk every day. So, I hope you're enjoying the ride, and I'll see you on the next one. Later. Love you.